and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. The Balkan countries of Serbia and Kosovo have agreed to form a joint commission to resolve the decades-long issue of over 1,600 people still missing from the 1998-1999 Kosovo War. The agreement was reached during EU-mediated talks in Brussels. Kosovo declared independence from Serbia in 2008, a move that Serbia and several EU countries still refuse to recognise. Both nations face mounting pressures to normalise relations as a condition for EU membership. During a meeting with Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić, Polish PM Donald Tusk made clear that during the Polish presidency of the EU, enlargement of the bloc, including close cooperation with Serbia, was a priority for him. Easier said than done, perhaps. Well, to explore the issues around this, I am joined by Darko Trifunović. He's director for the Institute for National and International Security. Mr. Trifunović, welcome to TVP World, and thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
This early in the morning.
It's very early.
All right, so we know that the EU is very keen to get Balkan countries into the fold, but there are a couple of stumbling blocks. But before we get to that, tell us why. What is behind the EU initiative, motivation, energy, if you like, to bring the Balkans into the bloc?
So if the Balkan doesn't belong to European families, where it's a place for all Balkan states and people, someone else will take the initiatives, and in this...
Someone else meaning?
It's Russia, namely Russia. Let's say a little bit China, but China is not that visible, and we are all facing huge Russian hybrid warfare. And from my own experience, maybe someone will agree or someone will disagree, but Serbia is the ultimate victims of the Russian hybrid warfare, of course, with the influence, Russian influence in the Kosovo, namely. For instance, for the years, Russian intelligence during the Soviet Union, they wanted to actually destroy Yugoslavia, because Yugoslavia was on another side of the Cold War, and that's why they create in Kosovo a Leninist Marxist movement, but not only in Kosovo, but also if you see the South America, you will see all these FARC associate organizations and so on. And in Latin America, this Marxist-Leninist movement was associated to KGB. So for today, the Prime Minister of Kosovo, he have link to Adem Demaci. Adem Demaci, he is one of the prominent leader of Kosovo Albanians, who actually was in the network of the KGB on that time. So this is about Kosovo. Now about Serbia, we see a lot of pro-Russian politicians. Serbia is a candidate for EU, and Serbia is not, let's say, independent country, and it's not neutral. I'm sorry to say, Serbia is independent country, but without 20-something% of its own territory, because according to Serbian constitution, Kosovo is still part of Serbia, and not only for Serbia, but let's say majority of the world, if you count India, China, Russia, and many other countries, that they will not recognize Kosovo before any agreement with the capitals, with the Belgrade, of course. So the history connect these people, but politics disconnect them definitely. And when we have influence of the big power, then the small states, then they don't have any chance if, for instance, if EU doesn't understand the processes. And we are now seeing some kind of the positive movement, particularly from Poland, understanding that Russia is there, Russia owns Serbian oil industry, Serbian government use this opportunity to, let's say, to request from Russia this veto in Security Council if Kosovo want to be independent. So definitely Kosovo is not a state, because it's not a member of United Nations. Kosovo want to become integrate, but without any agreement with Belgrade, it is quite impossible. So we will see what politicians will answer. Usually, I see you are ready for ask me another question.
I have so many questions.
Yes, but let me finish.
Yeah.
We have, when politicians, when they don't have ability to find political solutions, they're using opposite tool. They are putting oil on the fire. So we want to see politicians that giving us solutions.
Well, talking of political solutions, Ursula von der Leyen said it is not enough to simply leave the door open for our aspiring members. Doesn't that sound to you as though there is a proactive role that the EU can take in resolving this issue between Serbia, Kosovo, and getting the Balkan states into the EU?
It is not that easy. It's very complicated.
But if there is a political will to do something, how do you think that might proceed?
If the political will depend of the, let's say, politicians, that they are, on another hand, depend on Russia, so what do you think what will happen? If we don't cut, if the European Union doesn't understand the gravity of the Russian presence from the history, like in Poland, you see, you have Commission for Russian malign influence in Poland, but we don't have this in the Balkans. So we are open. Our door is open, and Europeans are all the time pushing this door closed. So we need to find some kind of the compromise and understanding. For instance, what one small country like Serbia can do if Russia attack Serbia by hybrid warfare, and if not US only, but the EU doesn't understand the gravity of this attack. At this moment, this is my opinion as an expert on security, Russia is waging full-scale hybrid war operation. I call this fifth-dimensional hybrid warfare in Serbia, taking control over the government-run media, taking control of some influential politicians, even part of our church, and many, many other segments. They brought also special groups for pressure. They control our football fans, our organized criminal mafia segments. The situation is almost the same.
So what is the government in Serbia doing to protect against this?
What can do, basically. The Serbian government, the picture is not black and white. That's why we need understanding. Serbian government did not give diplomatic status to this Russian humanitarian center. We were first the country to kick out Russian Lieutenant Colonel Kleban from the region. We prevent a bloody coup d'etat in Northern Macedonia and the attempt of the Russian intelligence to assassinate Prime Minister of Northern Macedonia by that time. We did everything possible to calm down situation in Montenegro, etc., etc. So definitely government of Serbia doing what can, but without understanding, without, let's say, real political dialogue, I'm afraid that the region is ready to be again a region of conflicts, because we now are seeing rising Turkish power in Syria, but everything what's happened in the Middle East have impact, particularly directly to the Balkans. Of course.
Okay, so you know, we're already concerned, or there are concerns about Hungary and its relationship with Russia.
Slovakia.
In Slovakia is another example. Isn't there a risk then that with the Russian influence that exists, the hybrid warfare that Serbia is experiencing, Kosovo to various extents is experiencing, bringing them into the EU is simply going to multiply the problems that Hungary and Slovakia are giving us?
Not at all, because what is meaning EU? Meaning of EU is not a strong leaders and politicians. Meaning of EU is strong institutions. So what the Serbia need, it's not strong leaders. We need strong institutions that they will take care about interests of the citizens. That is exactly what is perception. But EU representatives in Serbia and even US, they don't, let's say, put a lot of efforts to counter this malign Russian influence, and that's actually we cannot do it by ourselves, and that's why we are facing the troubles not only in Serbia but in Bosnia and elsewhere. Just look at the composition of the government of Serbia and see the ties with individuals from the government directly to the Moscow, right. And then it will be very clear to you that we are stuck.
Okay. Now, it's also very clear, I mean, the EU has made it very clear that unless some resolution is found to the Serbia-Kosovo issue, the door to the EU cannot be further opened. Is there a resolution to be found?
I am not a politician, so I'm a security expert.
But looking at the dynamics between Serbia and Kosovo right now, I'm sorry, dynamic is almost zero. This agreement for the missing person, it's nothing special. It is something that people from both sides expected. But it took 25 years to get even this agreement.
Well, but we need something most let's say, precise. And it is impossible in this moment to pressure anyone in Belgrade to recognize Kosovo, because that will mean immediately political salto mortale. And that is impossible at this moment. So maybe in the future as well. But definitely we are seeing not single steps from Kosovo side to create society of Serbian community, and constant refusal and constant, let's say, crisis from month to month. And look at the position of Serbian, not only Serbian but non-Albanian minorities in Kosovo, like Roma people, like Muslims. There is Bosniaks in Kosovo. Their voice are invisible. So,
is there a role for the EU to play in mediating this process?
I don't think that EU have some kind of the capabilities, because in the past we saw Mr. Lajčák and many other EU negotiators that they are neglected by both Belgrade and Pristina as well. So we need a strong voice, and maybe Mr. Trump is that strong voice, because we know his attitudes toward Kosovo, we know his attitudes with Mr. Grenell in the past, and I don't think that nobody in Balkan can ignore Mr. Trump's voice and solutions. And there was an attempt from his side in the past. You remember when he brought President Vučić and Israel and many others to put all this together and make some, let's say, workable solution on platform of energy, because energy everyone needs. It's a common issue. So maybe we'll find out in future those strong politicians that they will put the ground for the common interest from both sides and say, let's rock and roll. Let's find out.
Let's rock and roll.
Let's rock and roll.
but as a platform for future negotiations over time.
It's not on horizon, unfortunately.
Right, not yet.
Not yet.
Well, what about the other Balkan states? Very, very briefly, sir.
Let's start from Croatia. Croatia is in big danger because pro-Russians, they took Croatian oil energy sector, INA. It's in hands of MOL, and MOL is in hands, further and further.
Right.
So also the situation is very flammable in Bosnia. There is no dialogue between political Sarajevo and political Banja Luka. Right. And of course, in this kind of circumstances, Banja Luka is pretty much, current political Banja Luka is a reflection of political Sarajevo. No, you see, you have country that there is no positive initiative from the capitals to the other places, and the other places in this scenario is Republic of Srpska. Right. It's by Mr. Dodik, who is on the sanction list of United States. Right. He's pretty much relying on Russian support. Right. I don't know where he find out this, but it's like that. Northern Macedonia is inflammable because Albanians in Northern Macedonia, their attempt is to secede from Macedonia as they did from Serbia in Kosovo. So this kind of situation is very piecemeal in the region. Unlikely. Unfortunately, we're going to have to end it there. But thank you very much indeed for sharing your expertise with our audience. Have a good day. Thank you. And that's all from us in this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, lots more coming up.